A thinking puppet is the mind of life. Its choice is the work of elemental strength that know not their own birth and end and cause. Into the action mortals think their home, they bring the incoherences of fate, or make a doom of time's slipshod caprice, and toss the lives of men from hand to hand in an inconsequent and devious game.
Good morning. We're reading in Book 2, the Book of the Traveler of the Worlds, following King Aswapati's journey through the inner planes of consciousness, which range from the kingdoms of subtle matter, very close to the earth, upwards into the vital worlds, the life worlds, where we are now. He will continue his journey up into the mind worlds and then up into the higher spiritual worlds. So we are reading in Canto 5, the Godheads of the Little Life. In the previous canto, we were introduced to this kingdom of the little life, of the lower vital worlds. And in this canto, we're introduced to the Godheads, the beings of this world, which are small, elemental beings, somewhat low, somewhat devious. And in the section that we're reading now, he kind of turns away from describing the world there and to describing our world here and how these beings affect us from their world into our world and affect human beings. And this section, it's quite remarkable because on earth, we're very subject to the influence of these beings because we're kind of starting from matter in our evolution These beings of the lower vital worlds have a very important influence in our own lives. And so we recognize really a lot of what we're reading now. It's something very close to our experience, I think. So we're reading now on page 161, and no, I forget the line. Can you say? 366 line. So again, page 161. And Tinaka, when you find the place, you can read, huh?
Unseen here act dim, huge world energies, and only trickles and currents are our share. Our mind lives far off from the authentic light, catching at little fragments of the truth in a small corner of infinity. Our lives are inlets of an ocean's force. Our conscious movements have sealed origins, but with those shadowy seeds no converse hold. No understanding binds our comrade parts. Our acts emerge from a crypt our minds ignore. Our deepest depths are ignorant of themselves. Even our body is a mystery shop. As our earth roots lurk, screened below our earth, so lie unseen our roots of mind and life. Our springs are kept close, hid beneath, within. Our souls are moved by powers behind the wall.
Thank you. Sri Aurobindo is describing our world here, and he's indicating that there are huge energies that are at work in our world, which are unseen to us. It's not only from this realm, this kingdom of little life, that forces and beings are influencing us here, but from all the inner worlds, from the mind worlds, from the higher spiritual worlds, from the subconscious depths. All these different planes of consciousness, their forces, their beings are active here in our world. Unseen here act dim, huge world energies, and only trickles and currents are our share. Although so many different forces are working operative, still those forces just trickle into our world in small amounts, in small influences. And our mind lives far off from the authentic light, catching at little fragments of the truth in a small corner of infinity. Our lives are inlets of an ocean's force.
Dim means obscure.
Which?
Dim, huge, world energy.
Dim? Yeah, ill-lit. Ill-lit. Just, yeah. Dim, you understand the meaning. It's not bright. So I guess he's describing here from these lower worlds. So they're not enlightened energies. They're ignorant forces and beings that are working.
So he again talks about small corner of infinity.
Yeah, our world is just in a small corner of infinity. He's emphasizing that there are huge forces operative here that we're unaware of. We live in an infinity of being, but we're only conscious of this little small corner within that infinity. And yet that infinity has its inlets here. It has an inflow from all of those different realms of infinity. And yet we can't see all of that. It's all behind a veil for us. Our minds are limited, so we only see little fragments of the truth. We don't see the fullness of it. And even our conscious movements, which we think we're in control of, that we originate ourselves, they also have sealed origins which are sealed to our vision. We cannot see them. We don't know all the forces that are moving us, that we call our own initiative. So with those shadowy seats, no converse hold. We hold no conversation, no conscious interchange with those beings and forces. And no understanding binds our comrade parts. So we get these influences from all these different realms, from different beings, but they're not united in their influence. We try to piece together, try to integrate all of those things, those influences on us into some kind of a integrated whole.
Why comrade?
Comrade. They're comrades of us because because of their influence on us. They're parts of ourself. So our acts emerge from a crypt our minds ignore, as if from an underground vault. And our deepest depths are ignorant of themselves. So even from those lower realms, those lower influences, they also are ignorant of their true nature. And even our body is a mystery shop. We don't know all the secret processes that are going on in our physical being. So he makes this comparison of the roots that are hidden below the surface of the earth. So, like that, our roots of mind and life are hidden, but are deep within and are the suppliers of our life and mind, of our thoughts and energies, our actions.
It is an ocean force, and that means it is one, where all these movement happens in it.
Yes, it's one cosmic being, but I don't know if he's emphasizing the oneness or the immensity of it.
And inlet, what do you mean that?
An inlet is along a coastline where the land meets the sea. There are little indentations in the land where the sea comes a little more further within. Sometimes it can form almost like little rivers or streams that come into the land. Those are inlets. So like that, the ocean has, this ocean of cosmic being has little inlets into our world, into our own lives.
Like our lives are those events. So it's such a wonderful image. For me, just thinking of that everything that I think of as my life is just a tiny little inlet in this immense ocean of consciousness.
Kind of an individualization of that ocean.
And at the same time offers the possibility of moving out into that ocean. Because it's part of that. And that's part of it that lives in you.
Shall we continue? In the subterranean reaches of the spirit?
In the subterranean reaches of the spirit, a puissance acts and recks not what it means. using unthinking monitors and scribes. 'Tis the cause of what we think and feel. The troglodytes of the subconscious mind, ill-trained, slow, stammering interpreters, only of their small tasks routine aware, and busy with the record in ourselves. Concealed in the subliminal secrecies, mid an obscure occult missionary, capture the mystic Morse whose measured lilt transmits the messages of the cosmic force. A whisper falls into life's inner ear and echoes from the dun subconscient caves. Speech leaps, thought quivers, the heart vibrates, the will answers, and tissue and nerve obey the call. Our lives translate these subtle intimacies. All is the commerce of a secret power.
Thank you.
It really strikes me in this passage is how, even though our own lives are moved by these small, even though our lives are moved by these small, ignorant powers that we are ignorant of, they too are ignorant.
Yeah. Right.
And all is being moved by some greater power that we all are unconscious of.
Correct. Yeah, that's what he describes here. So he's talking about the lower levels of the spirit, the lower realms of being, in the subterranean reaches of the spirit, the lower underground levels, subconscient, below the threshold of consciousness, not fully organized and aware. A puissance acts and recks not what it means.
What does that mean?
So a force is acting, but it doesn't understand what it's doing or what it means. Rex is like reckon, and it means understand. So puissance acts and recks not what it means. Doesn't understand exactly what it's doing. It's influencing us, it's moving us in certain ill-conceived directions. but it doesn't understand its place in the whole scheme of things, and it doesn't understand what's driving it. It's using unthinking monitors and scribes. It's using these ignorant beings of this lower vital world who are observing us in our world, in our physical world. They can see what's happening here. They're watching it. And in a way, they're writing some of the drama that's playing out here. It is the cause of what we think and feel. This is moving our minds and our emotions. Our desires are all being pushed by this influence from this lower kingdom of the little life. The troglodytes of the subconscious mind. So troglodytes are like these prehistoric cavemen. The troglodytes of the subconscious mind. Ill-trained, slow, stammering interpreters. Only of their small tasks routine aware. So these are these beings, these are the Godheads of the little life. These troglodytes are like little cavemen. He's describing them here. Other places he describes them as like little demons or demons. Earlier, I think we had some, I forget all the different descriptors he's used for them. But this demons, I said, she didn't understand. Well, demons are different than troglodytes. This is a different kind of descriptor he's using for these beings of this kingdom. Well, because they're ignorant. And they're from a lower subconscious realm of being. Well, there are all different types of beings in this kingdom of the little life. And here he's describing some from this subconscious realm. So from a lower level, let's say, of this little life. And he's saying only of their small tasks, routine aware. So they're only aware of kind of what they're doing, their routine actions.
And they're really trained in that.
Yeah. But they're busy with the record in ourselves, he says. So they're busy with the subconscious parts of our being that record what happens and holds that in its memory.
Is it an allusion to our material, physical, corporeal mind?
Yeah, it's closely connected with that.
And to the collective memory of the cells, for instance?
collective memory. Yeah. The memory in the cells. Yeah, I am not exactly sure of all what's implied there, but it may be the memory of what those cells do, but also maybe within in our cells hold our own memories to some extent. But all of this action is subconscious, is concealed from our awareness. It's happening below the threshold of our conscious awareness. So there's much that goes on in our body that we're unaware of. The operations of our memory, those processes, we're not really conscious of how all of that takes place. We may speculate about it, devise theories. But these are kind of mental models of what may be. So he's saying these forces are operating mid an obscure occult machinery. And they capture the mystic Morse, whose measured lilt transmits the messages of the cosmic force. So we know about Morse code. Lilt, that's kind of undulations of sound usually. So the mystic Morse, this Morse code of dots and dashes that we're familiar with, that the sailors use. So that's kind of transmitting messages of the cosmic force into our physical being. He's suggesting these kind of signals, I guess. Perhaps nerve signals that transmit information and movement through our brain. Ultimately, there's this conscious force. The Divine Mother's force is behind all things. Yeah, it's an intelligent force that is able to do this, to transmit these signals from the cosmic force and translate it into actions, physical actions here on earth in human beings. So then he describes it in kind of practical terms. A whisper falls into life's inner ear and echoes from the dun subconscious caves, dark and gloomy. Speech leaps, thought quivers, the heart vibrates, The will answers, and tissue and nerve obey the call. So this whole kind of physical, vital level of life is operating through this process.
This is in a way description which shows that, how you say, the evolution goes forward and we get pushed always to go forward. It's not to be decide or what, it goes always forward.
Because there's this larger force behind, driving everything, this ocean. So our lives translate these subtle intimacies. All is the commerce of a secret power. And here again, this capitalized power suggests this conscious force, this conscious power.
And commerce here means activity?
Yeah, exchange. Commerce is especially exchange, no, of goods and services, business dealings, right? There's an exchange that goes on. So there's an exchange from this cosmic force into our movements here in the physical and the vital life. It's not just that everything is happening at this level. I mean, there's a force behind that's moving everything. Karundas.
A thinking puppet is the mind of life. Its choice is the work of elemental strengths that know not their own birth and end and cause, and glimpse not the immense intent they serve. In this nether life of man, drab-hued and dull, yet filled with poignant, small, ignoble things, the conscious doll is pushed 100 ways and feels the push, but not the hands that drive. For none can see the masked, ironic troupe to whom our figure selves are marionettes, our deeds unwitting movements in their grasp, our passionate strife and entertainments seen. Ignorant themselves of their own fount of strength, they play their part in the enormous whole.
Thank you. He is again describing how we here in our world, in our lives, are pushed, moved by these beings of this lower vital world. So we're like a thinking puppet in their hands. It's our choice. Its choice is the work of elemental strength. We think it's our choice, but they're making our choices. That know not their own birth and end and cause, so they also don't understand their role that they play in the larger scheme of things, and glimpse not the immense intent they serve. So these beings too are ignorant and moving us, ignorant beings also. In this nether life of man, drab-hued and dull. Of course, it isn't our entire life. It's especially a certain aspect of our lives that they're influencing. They're not influencing our higher aspirations towards the divine or for human unity or these kinds of things. We have other aspects of our being higher, but our everyday kind of lower vital activities, our desires, our wants, our needs, our physical requirements, all of these things, that part they're influencing more.
Nether means
Under,
low.
low. Our life filled with poignant, small, ignoble things. Often poignant, so this is kind of feeling, emotional, sad. The conscious doll is pushed 100 ways. Here, I don't think he's... Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think he's referring to it in a divine sense here, but as a kind of symbolic of a principle that we are moved by other forces. We're passive in the hands of these forces. Well, we are conscious, yeah. Not fully conscious, but they have these dolls, right, that you wind up and then they talk or make little actions. So that's like us. And feels the push, but not the hands that drive. And then he continues kind of with this metaphor. For none can see the masked, ironic troupe, to whom our figure selves are marionettes. So it's as if a troupe of actors or players in a play that operate the marionettes move these little dolls with strings to put on a drama among them. So we can't see them behind the scenes in this kingdom of the little life. But our deeds, unwitting movements in their grasp, and our passionate strife and entertainment seen, just like this play of marionettes, we operate that way also sometimes. Yeah, a little bit mischievous, I think. So they also kind of push for these kind of dramatic displays of emotion and strife and our passionate strife, he says.
What is here very striking in this one is we are ignorant of the way, and also who is acting ignorance is also ignorant. So we cannot blame them or condemn what they're doing. And there's something behind which is pushing in the ignorant way, all the ignorance player.
They play their part in the enormous whole. And also they're not aware of that part that they're playing. It's a different view of our life, no? Is that Ramesh up there? You can read next.
Ananki engines organizing channels, powers of a stupendous will, tools of the unknown who use us as
Excuse
their
me.
tools.
Can you just go back a few lines to agents of darkness?
Yeah. Agents of darkness imitating light, spirits obscure and moving things obscure. Unwillingly they serve a mightier purpose, power. And uncaged engines organizing channels powers of a stupendous will, tools of the unknown who use us as their tools, invested with power in nature's neither state, into the actions mortals think their own. They bring the incoherencies of fate, or make a doom of time's slipshod caprice, and toss the lives of men from hand to hand in an inconsequent and devious game. Against all higher truth their stuff rebels, only to tighten force their will lies prone.
Thank you.
It's a word I don't understand. Unlike his engines, what does it represent?
So Ananki is a personification of compelling necessity or ultimate fate, to which even the gods must yield, according to Greek mythology. So compelling necessity, fate. So fate's engines organizing chance. So it's kind of a contradiction in a sense, but this fate is organizing chance to appear. It appears as chance to us. Goddess of fate, yes. So these are agents of darkness, these beings, spirits obscure, and unwillingly they serve a mightier power. So again, there's some greater power, conscious force also moving them. They have a role to play in the overall scheme of existence. Channels perverse of a stupendous will. So this divine will, capitalized here, is behind, but their channels perverse. They're channeling that will, but in perverse ways. It happens in our will. It's happening in our world. Yeah. Again, there are tools of the unknown who use us as their tools. They're invested with power in nature's nether state. They have some power, especially over us, over ignorant beings. Into the actions mortals think their own, they bring the incoherences of fate, or make a doom of time's slipshod caprice. Careless, unpredictable changes. They toss the lives of men from hand to hand in an inconsequent and devious game. And here he also suggests this kind of anti-divine kind of character of these beings. Against all higher truth, their stuff rebels. They take pleasure in this deviant game, twisting things, creating disharmony, creating disaster. Only to tighten force their will lies prone. Only to a greater power, a greater force, are they subservient?
Guidance of the opponents of the gods.
Mm. Anandi?
Inordinate the whole on human heart. In all our natural terms, they intervene. Insignificant architects of law-built lives and engineers of interest and desire. Out of crude earthiness and muddy thrills and coarse action of material nerve, they build our huddled structure of self-will and the ill-lighted mansions of our thought. Or with the ego's factories and marts surround the beauty temple of the soul. Artists minute of the hues of littleness, they set the mosaic of our comedy or plan the trivial tragedy of our days. Arrange the deed, combine the circumstance and the fantasy of the mood's costume.
Thank you. So first he's indicating how much of a powerful influence that they have in human life, inordinate their hold on human hearts. In all our nature's turns, they intervene. So it's not just a minor influence they have here. And I think this is one of the key lines: insignificant architects of low-built lives. So they create these kind of lower lives, these crude lives of people or of that aspect of their lives. Engineers of interest and desire, they stimulate these interests that we have or these desires that we have. They're constantly prodding us in this direction or that direction. And especially the lower physical desires, out of crude earthiness and muddy thrills and coarse reactions of material nerve. They build our huddled structures of self-will. Huddled close together. I think it's kind of a descriptor of egoistic here. self-centered. It's all gathered together around the self-will. And the ill-lighted mansions of our thought, the kind of dim rooms of our thought, of our mind. Or again, with ego's factories and marts surround the beautiful temple of the soul. Markets, like shops, the big, Pondicherry market where you go and buy things. Yeah, it's short for market. So those, factories and markets, they're usually for making money, right? So those are surrounding the beautiful temple of the soul. So we see also the temples would be surrounded by these markets and factories sometimes. So their interest is money making, whereas the temple of the soul has another motivation.
He so is, he just says, this is how the foundation of our lives is underway. And, it took me out of kind of the superficial way of seeing myself and seeing my life and others' lives. Because we put a gloss on, our values and our motivations. And what he's saying is, this is what lies underneath, that we don't look at, but see. And he doesn't stop. Just one page after another, and it's like this, and this, and this. Thankfully, towards the end,
but it's not all.
Yeah, he always does that. He continually gives a very vivid picture of a particular aspect of our life or of existence. And then it really, we sense then that particular aspect of our being very vividly. It becomes more clear to us than we normally do, because usually it's all blended with everything else. But he gives us this clear picture and sometimes this merciless, critical commentary on human nature. But then he says, but that's not the whole picture. There's also this.
Yeah, actually, I have this impression.
He spoke about the simple chapters, and in each chapter, he considers an aspect of the world, one way of speaking, and he describes it so well. Audience where it is. But then you get to the other audience, so then you get to the and that is, and differentiates them whenever eventually will have soul. He examines every aspect until imagining it's the whole world. It's just there that it's just great.
Just to get philosophical for a second, this is also the characteristic of overmind, which is kind of the creator of this universe. And the overmind sees all these different possibilities, which it then creates and expresses that particular aspect in its fullness. And so that's why we see this amazing manifold existence that we have with these horrible beings of the underworld, and then we have the angels, and we have the human beings who are struggling to work their way towards the divine, and heroism and cowardice, and all of these things are all possibilities within the whole vision of the infinite consciousness. And that Overmind creates almost like a world for each of these different aspects. And in a sense, that's what we're reading about here in these different worlds that Aswapati is moving through. These are different creations expressing a particular aspect or possibility within the divine consciousness. And they're created there and played out in full detail and full feeling and emotion.
Each one is a center part of the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because all those different worlds are not fully conscious, they're not necessarily all in, let's say, smooth harmony with the others. Somehow it's all working out towards a plan, let's say, but so Paula?
These unwise prompters of man's ignorant heart and tutors of his stumbling speech and will, movers of petty wraths and lusts and hates and changeful thoughts and shallow emotions starts. These slight illusion makers with their masks, painters of the decor of a dull-hued stage and nimble scene shifters of the human play, ever are busy with this ill-lit scene. Ourselves incapable to build our fate, only as actors speak and strut our parts until the piece is done, and we pass off into a brighter time and subtler space. Thus they inflict their little pygmy law and curb the mounting slow uprise of man. Then his too scanty walk with death they close.
Thank you. So he continues a little bit with this metaphor of how our world is like a stage or a scene for a drama in which these beings from behind the curtain are pulling the strings. So these slight illusion makers with their masks, painters of the decor of a dull, huge stage, and nimble scene shifters of the human play, ever are busy with this ill-lit scene. And we, incapable to build our fate, only as actors speak and strut our parts. We're so much moved by these beings, we cannot really fully take our own lives in our hands and create what we would will, because we're so passive and in their hands, so ignorant of all that's moving us. So we speak and strut our parts until the play's over, and then we pass off into another world, a brighter world. And yet this is a stage in the mounting, slow uprise of man. It's a stage in our evolution that we have to go through.
Curb means prevent?
Curb means, slow down or prevent, hold back, limit.
Marination smiles. As hunters, we steep and slaughter our hearts until the race is done, and we pass on. Coming from the lines from Shakespeare, and we know from other sources that Shakespeare was Sri Aurobindo in a previous lifetime. So he's quoting the Sally. So
A line from Shakespeare, or what?
Yes, actors who take and strut their parts. Hamlet, I believe. Yeah.
There's no reversal.
Hmm?
There's no reversal.
The play is very anniversary.
But at the same time, I think it's good to recognize it's not the whole story, that this is a particular aspect, one way of looking at our life. But it's especially a part of our life, the lower part of our life. But we also have higher parts, where we're moved also by higher beings and forces. We don't know also the divine beings that may be moving us and inspiring us.
Aspect of endurance to go further.
Further, you mean? Yeah. But I think it's can help to give us patience and understand the complexity of the project that's being played out here.
to the work of transformation that called us to do within the realism. These are called to be transformed, and we need to know them in order to transform them.
I think maybe we will end here for today.
A thinking puppet is the mind of life. Its choice is the work of elemental strength that know not their own birth and end and cause. Into the action mortals think their own, they bring the incoherences of fate, or make doom of time's slip-shod caprice, and toss the lives of men from hand to hand in an inconsequent and devious game.
Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.